I'm here to talk to you about Parentskool. We run antenatal classes for first-time parents. I don't know how many of you have had a baby or been to antenatal classes, but a lot of them focus on birth. Some of them mention candles, music, pillows, and even angels flying past as the baby leaves the womb. And a lot of the reality is not like that. That was my experience, and I designed a class which actually focuses about what happens next. All of the really scary things about having a baby, like, is cradle cap okay? There's a bit of blood in the nappy. Is that an A&E journey or not? So the classes we teach are very much about practical advice, looking after a baby, and the really novel idea is we want to give free classes out to people who can't afford them. At the moment, everyone who goes on private antenatal classes has to pay upward of £250. So what happens is it's very elitist, and the people that can't afford it don't go at all. I want to change that. If you look at the industry of antenatal education, it's quite incredible. There's one organisation that has a 90% monopoly. The sales figures are very hard to get by. We believe it's around £9 million a year, purely in antenatal sales. But we don't want their business. We want the other 160,000 parents who every year have a baby, want to go to classes, so there are free classes that they go to. So there's clearly a desire to learn, but they just can't afford or don't want to go to these other offerings, and we want to target those people. We have a massive social impact. So cot death is the biggest cause of death of babies under 1 in our country, and if everybody followed the safe sleeping advice, we could halve the number of babies that die. Breastfeeding rates are very important for both mother and baby's health, and we want to increase the number of people breastfeeding from 40% after 6 weeks to a lot more than that. Postnatal depression affects 70 to 100,000 families every year in the UK, and we want to really help people who suffer from postnatal depression by explaining what the disease looks like, and also helping them to find where to go for help. And also bottle feeding is something that you will never hear about if you're pregnant. It doesn't exist, nobody does it, it's basically illegal. And then of course you have the baby and do feed the baby a bottle. We are really stepping out there, and this is the first time I've said it in public, but we teach people how to bottle feed safely to prevent babies from getting ill. My business plan, I have a 5-year plan which I've devised alongside the Growth Accelerator from the Department of Business and Innovation. I want to support, not me, with all my teachers obviously, 20,000 parents in the next 5 years. I want Parentskool to be available in 150 different locations across the UK, and our social enterprise means that we'll be able to reinvest hopefully at least £300,000 in training teachers and also offering free classes. So it isn't about how much money you earn, but everybody gets exactly the same level of education. We also have a really fantastic volunteer programme that we want to start, where we enable our parents to become the teachers so that they can meet there as a community programme of education. Thank you.
So what is the status at the moment? How long has it been going, and how many classes have there been so far? What's the status of it?
Well, I started the company on my own 2.5 years ago, and I've taught around 200 parents. At the beginning of this year, I won another Dragon's Den pitch, which I cried in, so thank you, I didn't cry at this one. And I used that money, I won £10,000, and I used that money to train up 8 teachers, to redesign my brand and website, to get my antenatal classes university accredited. So right now I've got 8 teachers who are all in various stages of up and running. They literally got their training last week. I have a very ambitious plan to train and recruit 30 mums every year to build up to my 150.
Can you explain where you get your money from again?
Well, we sell antenatal classes. So at the moment, private antenatal classes are worth around 200, oh God, I was going to show you my little figure. So if you look at this chart, the 40 grand at the moment, that's 40,000 people that pay for antenatal classes, and we reckon that's worth around £9 million. So we sell our antenatal classes, they cost £150 for 4 weeks. And the reason we do that is initially I wanted them to be free, but when I was offering them really cheap, £60 a go, I was just getting middle class people coming along going, oh, this is cheap. So clearly it wasn't working. What I wanted to do is allow people that can't afford to get the classes to get the classes. So instead, I put the price up. It's still half the price of most other classes, but I'll use the money to put on free classes. So it literally is take from the rich, give to the poor.
So I'm going to say the NCT word. You can.
Must remember online.
Literally. So I guess the alternative, so I think the MCT, really the placenta eating was not for me, but I think the alternative would be to look at the NHS free classes. You could, as your mission, you could have said, I'm going to change the content of the free classes because they exist. How is this better than just getting the NHS ones done better?
Because the NHS only talk about labour. Most of them are completely overbooked. If you don't book it a lot in advance, you don't get on, and they generally consist of hospital tours, and they're run by midwives who are trained to deliver babies and support women. Our course doesn't talk about labour at all, so we get women coming along who are having C-sections. A third of babies come out through a C-section. There's no point in going to a class talking about labour if you're not even going to experience it. We also get people coming along that are going through surrogacy, so they're also not going to experience childbirth. And also it's a marketing thing, you know. I have to start a company up that doesn't exist. They're classes for people that don't know what they don't know. So the strategy is very much to not do labour classes, but to partner up with hypnobirthing and other existing midwives and other classes that exist today. With the NCT, the issue that they have, I think, is that they make millions and millions of pounds, and they charge money for you to benefit from their charity. And so for me, that's fundamentally wrong. As a charity, surely you should be giving things free to people that need it.
I think it's really important, particularly in sort of single generation society. In London, a lot of people don't have mum from that point of view, but there's a really good model, I think, in Holland where you get free postnatal kind of support from that point of view. So it might be worth a quick jaunt over.
Absolutely, I'd love to. I only went to Amsterdam once, and that was a long time ago. Very different experience now.
Baby,
I think the thing about Parentskool is there are so many things you can do. It doesn't just stop here. At the moment, we've got the flagship course, which is the crash course in having a baby. There's so much demand for postnatal support, breastfeeding support, like I said, surrogacy, adoption. You know, so many people are literally given a baby. You wouldn't put people in front of a car without any tuition at all. Yeah, it's fine for us to go home with babies. I mean, I was in A&E about 5 times in the first 2 months for nothing. And so it will really save the NHS money, both in terms of preventing illness and preventing people going to A&E unnecessarily.
Sorry to come back to the money again.
Yeah, no, sure.
How, for every paid for class you run,
Yeah.
how many free classes can you pay for as a result? What's the ratio between?
I don't really have that calculation because it's not quite that simple. So what I need to do first is build up the business from scratch. So I need to have a number of teachers who are working, who are, so the business is breaking even, so we start making a profit. As soon as we've got profit coming in, we are committed as a social enterprise to put at least half of that money back into the community. It costs around £1,000 to train a teacher. It costs £240 for each course that they run, which can support up to 12 people. So at the moment, we're not yet breaking even. We need to have a number of people on board teaching.
So at the moment, you can't give free classes?
No, that's right. No, because I'm building the bricks from the bottom, so I'm not at that stage yet. And I don't want to go and get grants. I want it to be a sustainable business that stacks up on its own.
At what point in that graph can you start to deliver free classes?
Well, I'm actually starting to deliver free classes next year, but I'm working for free doing it. So hopefully in the next 12 months we'll be able to start offering regular free classes in the deprived areas using the same tuition that everybody's getting, which is university accredited.
Okay, any questions from the audience? There we go.
Yes, so my question would be, what's the difference between a paid class and a free class?
So the paid classes are generally from private practitioners, which means that they are run in the evening and around you. The free classes are generally sort of, you don't get to choose when or where, they're just put on, you have to come, and they are generally more around the hospital. They're run by midwives in the hospital, so they usually consist of a tour of the hospital.
Oh, sorry,
and,
I meant your paid class versus...
The difference with my classes is that we don't talk about childbirth at all, and nobody else does that. So our courses are purely about how to look after a baby. So the free ones and the paid for ones are exactly the same content from our business, it's just that if you can't afford to pay, we won't charge you.
And how do you measure that? Who can afford it or not?
That is something that I've yet to define. I sort of quite naively thought at the beginning that if I just put them on in areas of geographical deprivation, that would mean that the local communities who needed it would come along. What I don't want to do is make it income-based, because that's what the NCT have done, and they've created this elitist model where actually people who can't afford to pay don't want to write a letter saying they haven't got any money, and I don't want to do that. But yeah, I'm still not, hopefully, tonight we might, if somebody knows, has an idea of how I can reach those communities without making them have to tell me how much money they earn, I'd really value that.
So the next person who puts their hand up has got to have the answer to that. Any one final question? Yeah.
It sounds like the content of your course is actually quite important. Is there any way you can put that online and scale it?
Actually, around 85% of people that go to classes do it to meet other people. They don't do it for the content. Everything that's on my course is online. You can look at it on the NHS website. It's about the experience and it's about entering this new world with a group of people that you want to be with. So, although a lot of people have done online antenatal classes and they just don't sell because nobody wants to go online, you can Google stuff if you want to do that. Sorry, I wish the answer was it's a good idea. I hadn't thought of it.
All right, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.